Right. Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to continue with last week's topic, which was the present perfect. Remember that we covered the present perfect, its uses. For example, we discussed that we use it to talk about finished actions, recent completed actions, and finished actions, and life experiences, especially for life experiences. We also went over the structures for affirmative, negative, and question forms. Remember that in negative we use haven't or hasn't, and for question forms we use, or for questions we use have or has before the subject. Have you tried sushi? Last week we also mentioned irregular verbs, what they were, and I also gave you a list of basic list of irregular verbs, and remember there's also a more complete list on Aula Virtual. There is a document there where you can find a lot of irregular verbs, their past form, the simple past form, and the past participle form. You can check it, it's very useful. This is the practice that you completed and submitted last week. We're going to check it today right now. Okay, number 1. I study French. I have studied French. Studied with I-E-D at the end. I have studied French. Number 2. She has eaten octopus. Remember that we use has if the subject is she. So in the practice here, number 2 is she. You have to write she has eaten octopus. Eat is an irregular verb, and the past participle form of eat is eaten. You can also pronounce it as eaten. Number 3, they have gone to Scotland. Number 4, we have read that book. There is something interesting here with the verb read. In present, the pronunciation is read. In past, the spelling remains the same, but the pronunciation is read, like the color. That's why I say read here. We have read that book, because read is the past participle of read. Number 5, he has lived here for 3 years. Number 6, you have known David for 10 years. Remember, known is an irregular verb, and the past participle form of know is known with an N at the end. Number 7, we have been here for 2 weeks. Been is the past participle form of be. So that's the practice already checked. If you have a question, remember you can send me an email or consult through the chat. Okay, now we're going to go over the present perfect in negative again. Just remember that we use haven't or hasn't. For example, here, I haven't done. Yo no he hecho algo. I haven't done. You haven't played. Usted no ha jugado. You haven't played. And for he, she, and it, you're going to use hasn't. He hasn't. She hasn't. It hasn't. Now for we, you, and they, we go back to haven't. We haven't traveled. You haven't been. They haven't bought. Ellos no han comprado. That's the present perfect in negative. There are some contractions here which are important to mention because they are commonly used in when speaking. I have, the contraction for I have is I've. So for example, here I can say I've studied French. I've. Okay, that's the pronunciation for the contraction. You have is you've. He has is his. For example, here you can say he's lived here for 3 years, which means he has lived here for 3 years. She has, she's, it has, its. We have, we've, and they have is they've. They have. Those are the contractions. Now, we're gonna go over the interrogative form of the present perfect. Basically, what you have to remember here is that the auxiliary have or has is placed before the subject. Remember that in the affirmative form, you say I have played. In the interrogative, you say have I played? Yo he jugado. Number 2 here is you have played. Interrogative form, have you played? Notice that the only thing that changes is the position of the subject, you, here in this case, and have, the auxiliary. ¿Ha usted jugado? Have you played soccer? ¿Ha usted jugado fútbol? The same with the rest. Has he, has she, has it, have we, have you, have they. And here we have the answers. Yes, I have. No, I haven't. For well, so those are the answers to the questions. All right, there is a short practice here which we're going to complete right away. I'm going to help you. Number 1, which sentence is correct? I've seen that film before. I've seen that film before, or I've saw that film before. You already remember, or you already know what I've means, right? It means I have. So, number 1, I've seen that film before. Is that correct? Yes, that's the correct option, because it has the subject, the contraction, and the verb in past participle. Seen is the past participle of see. It's an irregular verb. Number 2 is incorrect because they are using here the verb in its base form or in simple present form. I've seen that film before, which in Spanish would sound something like yo veo esa película antes. Suena raro, ¿verdad? So that is incorrect. And number 3, I've saw that film before. Yo vi esa película antes. Esa es la forma de pasado simple del verbo sí. No sirve. La que tenemos que usar es la participio pasado. Ver, vi, visto. I've seen, yo he visto esa película antes. I've seen that film before. One more. Which word completes this sentence? Tom worked here for long. Okay, remember we're talking about the present perfect. So in negative, Tom not worked. No, that's incorrect. We're missing something. Tom haven't. That is incorrect because Tom is like saying he, and he goes with has, right? In the third option, uses a contraction. Tom's not worked here for long. This is correct because this apostrophe plus s represents the has, the contraction for he has. Okay, remember he has his. Okay, and in this case, because the subject is Tom, we only add apostrophe plus s. Tom's not worked here for long. Tom has not worked here for long. Number 3 is the question. Which question is correct? The first one, what have you done with my dictionary? The second one, where has James... Sorry, the first one says, what you have done with my dictionary? Number 2, where has James put my bag? And number 3, who they've written to. The correct one is this one, the second one, because remember this is a question, and for questions we have to place the have or has before the subject, and the only one that complies with that rule is this one. Where has James? Auxiliary plus subject. Here we have subject plus auxiliary, subject plus the verb. That's incorrect. It's not a question, I mean. And so this is the one that is correct. Where has James put my bag? Here, there is a practice for you guys. You have to complete this one for today. You're going to use the present perfect tense in negative. These are the verbs that you will be using here, plus has or have or haven't or hasn't in the spaces. I'm going to do number 1 for you. Matthew is waiting on the corner for his girlfriend, but she, okay, we're using negative statements, so she hasn't, right? She hasn't. And which verb? This one, arrive. So, but she hasn't arrived. I have to add a D at the end to make it past participle. She hasn't arrived. You have to check all of these verbs to make sure that if they are regular or irregular, to know which is the past participle that you have to use. So you're going to complete that on a separate piece of paper or document. If you want, you can just write the answers, number 1 and the answer, number 2 and the answer, so that you don't have to write the whole thing again, just the answers. There is a practice here also for questions. In this part, you're going to choose 5 prompts here, or 5 options, and you're going to make questions with them. The subject for all of them is you. I'm going to help you with one. Here, this one. Let's say I'm going to choose, this is the first one I'm going to choose. So, on a different document or file, Word document maybe, I'm going to write, where have you been today? Where have you been today? ¿Dónde has estado hoy? That's a question using the present perfect tense. Okay, so you choose 5, only 5. You make questions, maybe in the same document of this practice here, and you submit it for today, if I request so. Alright, so that's about the present perfect. Now we're going to move to topic number 5, which is buying and giving. Today, in this part of the class, we're going to be focusing on clothing, a little bit of clothing, and some rules that people have regarding dress codes and regarding the ways of using clothes around the world. Okay, first I'm going to give you some vocabulary, some useful vocabulary. First, wear or use, they mean the same. Wear, for example, today I'm wearing or I'm using a white t-shirt. So wear and use mean the same. Try on means to, for example, when you go to a store and you want to buy some pants, and you look at them and you like them when they're hanging there, and you say, oh, I like them, but I don't know if they look good on me, so I'm going to try them on. I'm going to put them on my body to see if they look good or not on me, or if they are comfortable or not. That's to try on, probarse. Purchase means to buy, comprar, and return means to give back. When you don't like something, or when something is low quality and it is damaged, you go and return it to the store because you don't like it. We have some phrases here when talking about rules for dress codes, Dress code means código de vestimenta. Well, some important phrases are it is recommendable, it is advisable. Estos dos significan lo mismo, recommendable, advisable, es aconsejable. Aquí vamos a ponerle el resto de la oración. It's a good idea. In Costa Rica, it's a good idea to wear a hat if you are going to the beach. That's an example. You are expected to. Se espera de usted que. You are expected to. If you go to a wedding in Costa Rica, you are expected to. What? You complete the sentence by yourself. I would use or I would wear means like yo usaría, yo me pondría, I would use. You are not supposed to or you are not you are not expected to means se supone que usted no debe, se supone que usted no tiene que usar, vestir de tal manera. Okay, now here we've got some vocabulary in terms of clothing. Here we have vocabulary for men and for women. Sweater, shirt, jeans, gloves, cap. We have cardigan, shorts, suit. That's a very important word, suit. Bow, tie, vest. They are not common anymore, but some people still use them, vests. In this section here we have hat, ring, earrings for women, bra, panties, scarf, hood, high heels. This is a very common word, high heels, tacones, high heel shoes. So that's some vocabulary you can review at home. Okay. Now, let's talk about dress code. There is a question here. What is the right interview dress code? What is the right clothing for attending or going to an interview or job interview, for example? Should you wear something like this? Maybe not, right? Or something like this? Yes, probably yes. Should you wear a suit when you go to the beach? Maybe not, right? You are more expected, you are more likely to use or wear in this way, using a short or something. Dress codes. Okay, now in this part, this is pretty interesting. I'm going to show you some dress codes around the world. Number 1. Wear modest clothing to religious places. When you go to a religious place, to a church, for example, you are expected to wear modest clothing, right? For example, like this woman here, a modest clothing. Okay. Number 2. Well, this one happens in most countries, in Costa Rica, in the United States, in Arab countries. You're expected to wear modest clothing. Some of them are stricter than others, but it's like a general rule. Don't wear trousers or pants, pantalones, in some places if you're a woman. Yes, that happens. That happens in some countries. You're not allowed to wear trousers in if you're a woman in certain places. Number 3, wear your bikini only on the beach. If you go out of the beach or if you go away from the beach, you have to use something else but not the bikini. You can use it but only in the beach. In Costa Rica, if you want, you can use a bikini in San Jose downtown, right? Nobody is, well, it's gonna be kind of weird, but it's not illegal. In some countries it is illegal. Number 4, don't wear high heels in Asian places. For example, in Greece, the country, Grecia. In Greece, you are not allowed to wear high heels if you're visiting some historical places, because they say that they might damage the surfaces of the places. So it's important to take that into account. Number 5, avoid makeup. This is makeup. Avoid makeup in some countries if you are a man. In some countries you're not allowed, you're not expected to use makeup if you want to be socially accepted by some people, of course. Others just don't care, and that's okay. Number 6, don't use veils. These are veils. Don't use veils in public places in France. This is pretty interesting. In France, you're not supposed to use veils in public places. Right. So that's about the dress code. Some interesting dress codes around the world. Now we're going to talk a little bit about imperative sentences and the rules. What is an imperative sentence? In an imperative sentence, you is always the subject, and it is usually not stated in the sentence. It is not written in the sentence. We say that you is the understood subject. For example, bring your camera. Please bring your camera. Please, there should be a comma here. Bring your camera. This is like an order. This is an imperative sentence. So the subject is you, but we don't write it. Okay? You start on the verb, from the verb onwards. Bring your camera. Traiga su cámara. Okay, that's an order, kind of an order. The understood subject is you. All of them here are imperative sentences. Wear modest clothing to religious places. Notice that we start with the verb. We don't say you wear modest clothing. No, because this is an imperative sentence. Okay? We can also start an imperative sentence with don't. And again, the subject of the sentence is you. You don't wear trousers. But because it is an imperative sentence, we only say don't wear trousers. Same as in Spanish. No use pantalones si usted es mujer en ciertos países. Evite el maquillaje si usted es hombre en algunos países. Okay? Avoid makeup. Imperatives. When do we use imperatives? We use imperatives to give orders, like here, to give instructions. For example, when I give you the instructions in the class, go to the virtual class, open this link, touch this button over here, or something like that. Those are imperative sentences. I start with the verb. I don't use the subject, because all of you understand that the subject is you, right? We also use imperatives to offer something. Have some tea. Tome algo de té. Make a request. Be quiet, please. That's also another use of imperatives. Okay. Now, dress code in Costa Rica. What is the dress code in Costa Rica? How are people expected to dress in our country? This is what you're going to do. This is your task for today. Here are the instructions. You're going to make a recording, guys. You're going to make a recording, maybe with your phone, explaining 2 dress code tips in Costa Rica in the following situations. A wedding, number 1. Number 2, a funeral. Number 3, a job interview. Number 4, a party at a disco. Okay, 2 for each. It is important, or please use imperatives when given the tips, when talking about the dress codes in these specific situations in Costa Rica. How are you supposed to dress for a wedding in Costa Rica? I also recommend you, please, to use the vocabulary that I gave you at the beginning. Let me look for it. Yeah, this one. In Costa Rica, if it is recommendable to wear, in the rest of the sentence, to wear something because blah blah blah, right? It's a good idea. Use this vocabulary and the verbs and the rest of words that you might need to complete this task. I repeat, you're going to make a recording explaining 2 dress codes for each situation in Costa Rica, and you're going to submit that recording in Aula Virtual. I'm going to check your pronunciation in the use of imperatives and the use also of the vocabulary that I gave you. So I hope that this video was useful, that you understood the topic, and if you still have doubts, if you're in doubt, you can still ask me some questions through the chat room. Bye bye guys. See you later.